Let me tell you something quietly heartbreaking, something almost no one ever says out loud, but so many people carry deep inside their chest. The feeling of being hard to love. It's not a loud pain. It doesn't scream or demand attention. It just sits there, silent, gently shaping the way you think, the way you act, the way you approach relationships, and most importantly, the way you see yourself. People who feel this way often love more deeply than anyone else. They pour their hearts into others, yet they still hold this quiet belief that something about them makes love unstable, difficult, or temporary. The real question is, why? Why do some of the kindest, most empathetic and thoughtful people walk around with this deep-seated belief that they are somehow unlovable? This feeling usually begins long before adulthood. It starts in childhood, in the small, seemingly insignificant details that no one really noticed. Maybe you grew up in a home where affection was inconsistent, where warmth came in waves. Maybe love was given in pieces, or only when you behaved perfectly. Perhaps your emotions were dismissed, or your sensitivity was labeled as a weakness. Maybe every time you tried to show your true feelings, someone told you to stop overreacting, be strong, or calm down. Children don't understand emotional neglect logically. They don't think to themselves, this person doesn't know how to love properly. Instead, they internalize it and think, something must be wrong with me. And that's how the wound begins. Over time, this wound turns into a pattern. People who feel hard to love develop a habit of blaming themselves for everything that goes wrong in their relationships. If someone becomes distant, they immediately think they caused it. If a partner gets cold, they believe they did something wrong. If someone leaves, they imagine they pushed them away. This emotional loop becomes automatic. It becomes a lens through which they see all their connections. They learn to be the easy one in a relationship, the one who doesn't ask for too much, the one who listens more than they speak, the one who carries everyone else's pain but hides their own. They do this because deep down, they're terrified that if someone sees their real emotions, their real needs, their real vulnerability, they'll leave. People who feel hard to love are incredibly sensitive. And I don't mean dramatic or needy. I mean deeply aware. They notice the subtle tone changes that others ignore. They sense emotional shifts before anyone else even realizes they're happening. They pick up on pauses, silences, and small hesitations that most people would completely overlook. And yet, despite this incredible emotional intelligence, they rarely feel understood at that same deep level. They give so much, but feel like they receive so little in return. They listen to everyone, but feel like they have no safe place to pour out their own pain. They appear strong, calm, and stable on the outside, but inside, they feel fragile, like if they let someone get too close, everything might just fall apart. As a result, many of them develop a powerful protective instinct. It's not because they don't want love. In fact, it's because they want it so much that the fear of losing it becomes completely suffocating. So they protect themselves in quiet, subtle ways. They pull back when they feel themselves caring too deeply. They shut down when they feel insecure. They pretend they're fine when they're actually hurting. They distance themselves so they won't be aburden. They hide their true emotions so they won't seem too much. They use silence as armor and independence as a shield. They love with all their heart, but they receive love cautiously, as if they're just waiting for the moment it all slips away. Psychologists might call this a mix of attachment, anxiety, and emotional inhibition. But in reality, it's something much simpler. The fear of being discovered as flawed, discovered as imperfect, discovered as someone who truly needs love, and therefore, cullose. Italiano, this fear didn't come from nowhere. It came from environments where love was inconsistent, conditional, or cold. It came from people who didn't know how to nurture a sensitive heart. It came from mirrors that reflected back, distorted, untrue versions of who you were. But here is the truth that people like this were never taught. You were never hard to love. You were simply loved poorly. You were loved inconsistently, carelessly, or by people who didn't know how to love at all. You didn't grow up lacking love. You grew up lacking healthy, secure love. The kind of love that doesn't demand a perfect performance. The kind that doesn't just disappear without warning. The kind that doesn't make you question your own worth every single day. You learned to fear love because, for you, love was something you always had to earn, not something you were given freely, just for being you. And here is the beautiful paradox in all of this. People who feel unlovable are often the absolute best at loving others. They are fiercely loyal. They are deeply empathetic. They notice the little details that others miss. They care genuinely. They love with incredible tenderness because they know exactly what it feels like to hurt. They don't play games with people's hearts because they know what heartbreak feels like. Their depth doesn't make them difficult, it makes them rare. And rare, beautiful things are often misunderstood. People who feel hard to love are not emotionally weak. In fact, they are some of the strongest people you will ever meet. They have survived emotional storms in complete silence. They have held themselves together when no one else even noticed they were falling apart. They've learned to self-soothe, self-heal, and self-survive. Not because they wanted to, but because they felt they had no other choice. They grew up believing they needed to earn love. But the real truth is, they needed someone who was capable of giving it. And maybe that's the real core of it all. You don't need to be easier to love. You don't need to shrink yourself. You don't need to hide your sensitivity or pretend you refine when you re-not. You don't need to apologize for needing reassurance. You don't need to become colder, simpler, or quieter to be loved. What you need is the right kind of connection. The kind that doesn't get scared by your emotions. The kind that doesn't run away from your vulnerability. The kind that sees your depth and doesn't label it as too much. Because here is what you must understand. Deep in your bones, you are not hard to love. You are simply loved by the wrong heart. You are not too much. You are simply someone who feels deeply in a world that often feels too little. You are not unworthy. You are just surrounded by people who are incapable of recognizing your worth. You are not the problem. You are the proof that love should be gentle. And when you finally meet someone who knows how to love a person like someone who is patient, attentive, and emotionally consistent, you won't have to earn anything. You won't have to walk on eggshells. You won't have to hide your fears. You won't have to guess if you matter. With the right person, your depth will not be a threat. It will feel like coming home. You are not hard to love. You are hard to forget, hard to replace, hard to replicate. Because people like you were never meant for shallow love. You were meant for a love that matches your own depth. And when you finally find that, everything inside you, every fear, every doubt, every old wound will finally begin to heal. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Remember to be kind to yourself.